everybody, it's Queen of Light 1111 and welcome back to Step Into the Light with Queen of Light and
Sunena.
Yeah. So we're here today to have a very special episode because we're getting into the spirit of the season.
Dun dun dun.
So before we get started with this awesome and fun episode, I want to just remind all of you that if you are interested in booking your own personal coaching, reading, healing session with me, go to my website at queenoflight1111.com. And if you're not following me on Instagram or this podcast's Instagram, please do so. All of the links are in the description and in the bio. Well, let's get started, Sunena.
Yep. So for this week's episode, we're going to be talking about our own personal experiences with the paranormal. So we're going to start off by talking about a story that involves me and Queen when we were taking an RV trip.
So our family likes to take RV trips, and so typically a couple of times a year we take in a very extended trip. We've gone from, California all the way up to Canada. We've taken longer trips where we've stayed, throughout the different states across the country. And so this particular trip that Sunena and I are going to talk about is one that we took up in California, and we went to this specific inn. It's a beautiful, beautiful full service RV resort, and it's actually part of a hotel and an inn.
Yeah. And
it's a very historic inn. And so
we just wanted to go there to have dinner.
Exactly. So it was fully functional, has all of the different hotel rooms and dinner restaurants.
Yeah.
And so we went up one late afternoon. We went up for an early dinner, right? Because it was such a beautiful day there. Mm-hmm. And so in order to get to the restaurant, we had to go through the hotel lobby.
Right.
And so Sunena and I are typically joint at the hip regardless. And we happen to be right next to each other as we're walking up the stairs to enter.
Yeah, and I'll never forget this.
Uh-huh.
So I walk in with her. And the first thing I notice right when I walk in is I feel this heaviness in the atmosphere around me. And I just feel like something is not quite right. And I look at her next to me. And she has this strange look on her face, like she's picking up on the same thing that I'm picking up on. And I look at her and I say, I think this place is haunted.
And I think, though, so it was specific in the hotel, because when you feel an energy like that, right, it's like in that particular surrounding.
Yeah.
Because when we were coming up the stairs, when we were on the grounds, we weren't feeling any of this energy. But it was literally my first step into the lobby, right? That I felt that heaviness. And typically when you feel energy that's heavy, I'm not saying it was a negative energy, but it certainly wasn't it wasn't my spirit guide and angel.
No. It was a presence of like when I walked into the building, I felt that this building was old. And I didn't know anything about the building. Literally, I just went there because my family wanted to have dinner there. I had no background knowledge on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
I walked in and I was like, this building has been here for a long time. There's some history here.
Yeah.
And there's something here that just never left. And I'm not saying that it felt negative or anything.
It felt heavy. Maybe it was sadness.
It felt
maybe
lingering.
Yeah, it was not good. So when we walk in, Sunena and I, obviously we're feeling the same thing because we're both sensitives, right? And so she looked at me and I looked at her and she's asking me if I felt something and I was like, yeah. And so I said, let's ask the front desk.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I went to the front desk staff and I said, excuse me, I have a question. And the lady was not sure what was going to come out of her mouth, right? And so I said, is this place haunted?
And I'll never forget this. She was like, yep, we have a whole book of guest experiences.
Right, I was not expecting her to say yes.
It was literally a whole journal of ghost stories.
Right.
From people that have stayed in that
But hold on. I was stunned.
And I was like, oh my god, we were right.
Forget about the book. I was stunned when she said yes. I was still stuck at yes. I was like, I was expecting her to be like, oh no. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's all in my head.
Yeah.
But the minute she said yes, I was even more stunned. And then I was more stunned when she bust out the book and said, here are all the experiences of our guests. And I was like, I need to go.
Oh my gosh.
decided to like take my parents out of there, and we went and had dinner outside, where we all had dinner. But you and your parents and your brothers decided that you wanted to go explore the haunted floor,
Of
right?
course.
So what did you feel when you went up to the haunted floor? Did you feel anything?
That feeling that I got of there's something here, that never left me the whole time I was in the inn. Like
inside
the inn.
Yeah.
And I remember I was walking around. I was asking questions like, if there's anyone here, give me a sign. I was taking pictures, and I didn't get any like sounds or anything, but I do remember that I was taking pictures around the inn, and in a lot of the pictures there were just orbs everywhere.
Really?
So yeah, I think that was the main thing that I got, but also the thing was that feeling never left me.
And I'll never forget that feeling either. I'll never forget that feeling. So that was an interesting thing where we actually had the feeling of the energy, but we did not necessarily see it in its spirit form. You know, it makes me remember another instance that I had when I had to fly to Richmond, Virginia. Do you remember that? You were young. You were small. So I was going to Richmond, Virginia to go to an executive conference. You called me. You were at home and you called me. And you said, you're like, what are you doing? And I was like, I was packing. And you're like, I don't know. I don't have a good feeling. And I was like, okay, listen, you can't stress me out because, like, I have to go. There was, like, no getting out of it.
I could not sleep that night.
Yeah.
Like, I was laying there in bed with this terrible feeling in my stomach.
Right.
And I was like, what is wrong with me? And I was a little kid. I didn't know what was happening. But I was just laying there, unable to sleep. And I was like, my aunt is going on this trip tomorrow. And for some reason, that's making me feel nauseous. So what else could I do? I called her on the phone and I was like, I have a really bad feeling about you going on this trip.
I know. But see, you had done that to me before.
Yeah,
when you were really little. And granted, weird things happen, like the flight would get diverted or something. So you're always picking up on something with my business travel. But with this particular one, I didn't have like any choice. I had to go. It was an executive meeting. I had to go.
Yeah.
So I tried to calm you down, and I had a flight like super early. Like I think it was like late, and so I ended up landing in Virginia around 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that means it was 8 p.m. Pacific. So it's the tiniest little airport. So I'm like, okay. So I get there and like there's literally 2 taxis. I have my car service. So the car service picks me up. And now we're almost, and it's dark. Richmond, Virginia is dark. I'm used to city lights and all this brightness, right? We start driving up the driveway to this resort.
Yeah.
And immediately, and remember, I'm in corporate America, right? So I've always been spiritual. I've always been sensitive, but I didn't have the gifts as honed in as I do now.
Right.
But I've always been very sensitive to energy. Mm-hmm. So we're driving up, and already I can feel something in the pit of my stomach. And I haven't even gotten out of the car yet.
Oh my gosh.
So we're driving up. And it's dark because it's like somewhere tucked in because it's this beautiful, like really well-known resort, right?
So creepy.
Driving. I'm like, oh my God, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. So the guy takes...
This sounds like the beginning of a horror movie.
It was a horror movie. So we get out. He opens my car door. He gives me my luggage. I walk up to the inn, and it's like one of those homes, like the main lobby, just like at the resort we went to, right? And I was like looking around, and I knew it in my gut. I knew it. I'm like, this is not right.
Was it like the same feeling that we got?
Same exact feeling.
Yeah.
So remember, this experience, we haven't had that experience yet, right?
Yeah.
So this was this is the first experience I've had that I can remember, because, I'm older, so that I can remember, that I can recall. But anyway, so I'm talking to the lady. She's checking me in. Oh, Miss blah, 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 and, and your room is here, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like... Is this place haunted? I asked her. Literally.
Oh my God.
And she said, some people say it is. And now I'm stunned. Now I'm like, oh hell no, right? I can't do this. And she's like, I go, can you tell me which room is haunted? And she's like, well, I really don't know. I'm going to have to go check. And I said, okay, I'm going to go up to my room. So she's like, here's the guy, and he'll take you up to your room. He takes me up to my room, and immediately... It's intense energy now.
Oh, no.
and the room is very Victorian and old. And now I'm starting to spin out. So the guy leaves me in my room alone. Obviously, he has to. He's not going to stay in there with me, right? And I start pacing in the room. And I can feel it. And I can feel there's an energy. And I was in room like 306, okay?
Uh-huh.
I'm pacing the room. I FaceTime my dad.
Yep.
I start crying. I said, this place is haunted. They don't know what room it is yet. They're going to call me. I said, but it doesn't feel right. I literally started to see images. I don't think I told you this, like on the ceiling. And I was like, there's no way I can stay here. My dad's like,
what did you see?
My dad's like, I don't know, like visions, like images. And so I was like, oh no, this is not going to work out. So my dad's like trying to calm me down because I'm crying. And I said, then my phone starts to ring. The phone in the hotel room.
Okay.
I answer the phone while my dad is on FaceTime.
Uh-huh.
Oh, hi, miss. You know, she calls me by name. And she's like, oh, well, I have really good news for you. I'm in room 306. Oh, your room is not haunted. Room 308 is.
Oh.
And I was like, no. I said, I will be checking out now.
Oh, my God.
And she was like, what? And I said, no, I'm going to have to leave. So I hung up the phone. I told my dad I have to call him back. I called my assistant, right? I FaceTime my assistant. I said, you have to find me. I don't care what it is. Find me another room in like a major hotel right now. And so she did, and I went, and like within 15, 20 minutes, I had another room. I had my driver come pick me up, take me to that hotel room, and I told the guy at the front desk at that hotel, I said, please put me like in the front room, in the lobby area somewhere, because I'm just so disturbed now, right?
Gosh.
But it was terrible. I have never felt such a heavy presence, and I actually saw things in the room that I really don't want to remember anymore.
So creepy. You never told me that.
I know. I'm remembering it now because I remember I was like on the FaceTime, the computer was on the bed and I was like kneeling and I remember looking up and I could see like mist. Like it's hard for me to tell you what that was.
Funny that you say that because in all my, we're going to get into this later on, but in every single time that I've quote unquote seen a ghost, it always looks like mist.
Yeah, but this mist wasn't like in one form. It was like, okay, if someone takes a puff of a cigarette and a bunch of smoke comes out, like in all of those different like wavy. It was like that. It was like waving all over, and I was like, oh no, this is not gonna work
I don't think
out.
that's a good sign.
So anyway, so that was my like one experience with like spirit in that way. But I know, but when I feel that type of heavy energy, and this is also why, like when I deal with clients, if I'm going to do a healing session with anybody, I always have them send me a picture first because I can read energy, obviously. And if the energy is not a match, because some people do have energies that are not positive that they're dealing with as part of their journey.
Yeah.
And so it's not an energy that I want to be tapping into.
Right.
So it's just like, because I'm so sensitive, when I feel that kind of energy, I just can't, I can't deal with it. But anyway, so that experience, and so anyway, so just to close that up, after I left, my assistant, like part of her my travel profile was, ask if the hotel is haunted.
That's amazing.
So we
and if I say I have a bad feeling about something
I know
bad is
I'm
about
gonna
to
have to listen to you. So anyway, so what was your experience with the mist spirit that you saw?
So I've had a few experiences where I've seen a mass of like just mist.
Yeah.
So I think one of my craziest ghost stories took place at my high school theater.
Oh my god.
So when I was in high school, I was a band kid, and one day I was supposed to be practicing one of my songs.
Hold on, let's enunciate that properly.
What?
You were not a bad kid. You were in band. B-A-N-D. Yes.
So when I was in high school, I was a band kid. I was a band geek.
Yes, not a bad kid. A band kid. Yes, you were a geek.
So one day I was supposed to be rehearsing one of my songs with this one friend of mine. And let me just set the scene to tell you how creepy this was. So we're alone on the stage. The only light on in the theater is a single spotlight right above us. So we're looking out in the empty theater, and it's just, the rest of the theater is just dark. There were always rumors around the school that the theater was haunted, right? And me and my friend, we grew up like watching Ghost Adventures, watching Ghost Hunters. So we were like, okay, obviously we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, but whatever.
Wait, but only the theater was haunted? The school was not haunted?
No,
Okay.
I haven't heard that the school was haunted.
Okay.
But
you didn't have the experience at the school, just the theater?
Just the theater.
Okay.
So we weren't doing what we were supposed to be doing.
So you were a bad kid.
Maybe. So I turned to her and I was like, do you actually think the theater's haunted? She was like, let's find out. So we started our own little ghost hunting investigation. And we're sitting there in the empty theater, and we're just asking questions like, okay, if anything's here, give us a sign. Nothing. What's your name? Nothing. And all of a sudden, I look out into the back row of the theater, and in one of the seats, there's this mass of mist in one of the seats in the shape of a person. Mm-hmm. Literally, it was like a silhouette of like a head and shoulders sitting in the back of the theater. Mist. And I just look out and I see that. And for a few seconds, I'm just staring at it, trying to figure out what I'm seeing. I'm getting the chills talking about this right now.
And then?
And I look at my friend, and she's staring at in the same spot that I'm staring at. And I'm like, do you see that? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, let's get out of here. She's like, yep. So we just bolt out of the theater.
But this spirit, it sounds like, responded to your questions by showing its presence.
Exactly.
So that you have to be careful, see?
I
because
know.
So just my guidance and advice to anybody, anyone listening, is that obviously from our experiences, we know spirits are real.
Yeah.
We know that there are multiple timelines and universes and, other different energies that are walking through our 3D existence.
Right.
So when you're calling for a spirit, you have to be very careful in protecting yourself.
I know.
See? So
I
you know this now, right? So in that, you have to make sure that you know what you're doing. Because I've seen a lot of kids screw around with this, and they actually end up getting themselves into energetic trouble.
Right.
Right? So anyone that's doing it, make sure that you know what you're doing.
I know.
And not just calling in a spirit
I did not
and
know
they're
that.
running away after they show up.
It was just one of those things where we were bored.
No,
and we didn't expect to see anything like that. But
I know.
That was something that I will never forget.
But now you're going to take it seriously, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now if you hear that something's haunted, I mean, you're not going to mess around with it.
No.
But how scary. So did it
gosh.
disappear after you guys, or you don't know?
I don't know if it disappeared. We just ran out of there as fast as we could. And I remember we ran back into our classroom where all the other band kids were, and the guys in the band room just saw the look on our faces, and they were like, what's wrong? And we were like, we just saw a ghost! And they were like, no way. Nobody believed us, but we'll never forget that.
I know, but it leaves an impression. You had another experience like that in one of your RV trips, just actually really recently, right? When you went, I wasn't with you, which was surprising for the one time.
Yeah.
And you guys, what was happening? What happened on that?
So we took an RV trip a few months ago, and of course I was by myself when this happened.
Because I wasn't there.
Yeah. But so the rest of my family went to the swimming pool, and for some reason I was just tired. I think I just wanted to take a shower and just chill out. So I was the only one in the RV, and I was just getting my clothes so I could go take a shower, and I turn around, and this mass of mist walks by me and just disappears. I'm remembering this right now, and I'm getting chills because I still can't even believe that I saw that, but I just stood there.
Well, what was it? Was it a female, male?
No,
what was it?
I couldn't tell what it was. Literally, it just looked like It was in the shape of a person
Okay.
walking, and this mass just appeared and disappeared as it was walking.
I remember you said that, and I'm also picking up on something like real time right now. I'm channeling. I remember you said to me when you told me about this, was that like it literally just kind of passed through the RV.
Yeah.
You know what
and the thing was, it's not like it wanted to interact with me. It's almost like you're just sitting somewhere and someone walks by. That's basically
it was in a different field, like a different energetic field.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
Like literally your RV was in the way of it. Well, not in the way, but it was in the line of its path, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm picking up on is I feel like spirits make themselves known to sensitives. I really do. I feel like the reason why you and I and maybe others that have these experiences are picking this up is because our minds and our energy may be open. Yeah. And while I think that that's a really good thing, I also think that it's very important that if you're not wanting to receive that type of energy, that you have to protect yourself. Like that's what I do in my work, in my spiritual work, and frankly in my day-to-day.
Yeah.
Is that is about I don't allow any negative energies, spirits, earthbound spirits. I don't want any of those in my energetic field. Yeah. Only my spirit guides, my angel, God, the universe. And so so I guess what I'm picking up for you, which is probably good advice for you and for our listeners, is that if you are an empath and a sensitive and you're having these experiences recurringly, like it's happening to you a lot, and I feel like it's happening to you a lot because you're open, you're empathic, you're sensitive. I think it's because maybe you haven't created that boundary. And so it might be a good idea for you to, when you wake up, when you're when you're not in your home environment under your shield and your protection, that you are protecting yourself with whatever words of affirmation that you want to. Yeah. So, because that's what I'm picking up on for you, because as I think about all of your experiences, I'm thinking about it's happened to you often.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I've had a lot of experiences with the paranormal and like seeing things. Yeah.
The other thing, you know, that you've just recently, so it was not only this experience that you and I shared together, but it was also, you know, and then the one in your band, you know, in the theater, but you also in your own home have felt something pet you, right?
Oh my gosh, this was something that happened to me for months, and it wasn't a scary experience. But this happened probably a couple years back, and I would just remember every single night, right before I fell asleep, I felt someone just caressing my hair every single night, and it was not scary for me at all. It just felt like there was somebody there comforting me, like almost making me feel safe. And you know, I know it sounds scary, like somebody's touching me, I don't know who it is, but I was never scared. I never really thought about guardian angels or anything before that, but when I sat down and really thought about what was happening to me, like every single night, I thought, it feels like it is a guardian angel.
Yeah. That's what it feels like to me, because I wouldn't need to sense your guardian angel. Do you know what I mean? But I can sense a spirit or an energy. So your guardian, like you can't, I know mine are with me right now, but like, but I feel them. You won't necessarily pick up on it. If it was an external energy to us like that, then I think that's something I would pick up on.
True.
So I do feel like that could be, that probably is.
And the crazy thing was this happened to me for such a long time, where like I would feel it as I was going to sleep and I wouldn't even think about it. I'd be like, okay, there it is. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it just became normal for me. And I didn't mention it to anybody for a long time. And the day that I did talk about it, I was telling you about it, and I was telling my grandparents about it. And I remember you guys reacted like, what? Like, that's weird. Like, that's kind of concerning. And I was like, no, like, I don't have a bad feeling about it. I feel protected, whatever. And they were like, no, like maybe you need to like protect yourself from this. And then like, hearing them say that, I kind of felt like, okay, maybe this isn't a good thing. But as soon as I had that conversation, I never felt it again.
Oh, really?
I never felt it again. And I think that might be because the spirit doesn't want me to feel uncomfortable because I might be like overthinking it now. But yeah, it never happened again after that conversation.
So now that makes me think that if we said that to remove the energy and then you never felt it again.
I never felt it again.
Even though you didn't feel... See, here's the thing I also want to say is that sometimes those types of energies seem friendly until they're not. It's true.
I really...
It's true.
Yeah.
But...
I am still lost on like what that
Yeah, but it hasn't returned.
No.
Okay. Well, let me know if it does.
How strange is that?
That is very strange, but I feel like it needed to go. It needed to go. But I don't know. I'm not a paranormal expert, but I just feel like you should always use your intuition. But there's something that is a disconnect for me on my parents saying, it's concerning, and me saying it, and then all of a sudden it's gone. That's kind of interesting.
What I was thinking was maybe it just doesn't want to make me feel uncomfortable because it always just seemed like a comforting presence to me.
Yeah, maybe.
And like, I mean, I feel like it might be something that's always with me, so it was like there, maybe hearing that conversation and was like, okay, like I'm not gonna do it anymore because now when I do it, she might be kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Maybe. So I had... and you know about this, like a very, very scary experience.
Oh my gosh.
So when I really started to launch into my awakening, like my deep awakening, I made this vow that I wanted to do this ritual, and I wanted to do this prayer ritual. And it's for 16 Mondays, you do this prayer and this ritual, and it's very powerful. And you set your intention on the first Monday, and then you end your 16, you're on the 16th Monday, but then on the 17th Monday, you do a big offering. And so I've been doing this prayer, and then I was started to have all of these experiences at night because dreams are my thing. I do a lot of astral traveling at night. I think it was probably like the 4th week in, and I was sleeping, and I've never ever had this happen to me before. I was sleeping, and there was this pressure on my shoulders. And there was this entity on top of me. Dark entity.
Oh my gosh.
Red eyes. And it's in this deep, ominous voice. And it's speaking to me in language that I don't really understand, but I understand.
Yeah.
And it's saying, do not say that mantra. And I don't even know the mantra. I don't even know what they were talking about.
It's terrifying.
Do not, and it's pressing on me, and then I could feel in my dream I'm suffocating. My scream woke me back up into the 3D. And I wasn't scared when I woke up. I wasn't scared. But I was like, holy shit. And I'm the biggest chicken there is. Like, that's why I don't do medium work or any of the spirit stuff. But I was like, holy shit, what was that?
Oh my gosh.
So I got up, drank some water, and then tried to go back to sleep. I went back to sleep. In the morning I woke up, I told my dad. And my dad was just like, huh, it's interesting. We notice how we always go to, like, you go to my dad.
We always do.
We always go to my dad for all of this because he's like the wise one with all of this stuff. And he's like, yeah. He said, when you start to ascend, when you start to come in and come into this level of ascension and prayer, that it is the truth. My dad was the one, because I was very naive. And when I started this spiritual practice, my dad was like, hey, don't be naive. Mm-hmm. With the shadow, there's the light. With the spirit energy, there's also negative. Don't be naive.
Yeah.
Be knowledgeable. If you're going to do this work, be knowledgeable.
Right.
And so I really listened to him, and I was like, I'm going to acknowledge that there is negative energy, but I'm not going to feed it with fear, nor am I going to feed it with any thought. I'm just going to be aware.
Yeah.
So when I told him, he's like, this is what's happening. You are ascending, you are awakening, you're having all these gifts that are honing in, and this is something trying to get in the way to block you.
Oh my gosh.
And sure enough, I think it was like that night or maybe the next day, the mantra came to me about what it was, about what the mantra was that they didn't want me to know. And it's this powerful mantra in Sanskrit that I say and that I use very sparingly. I don't use it all the time, but it is a very powerful and huge mantra that even can stop death in itself. If you believe in that mantra, it protects you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the mantra it wanted me not to know.
Wow.
But it never came back because I didn't feed it. I didn't feed the fear. I finished my 16-day prayer, and I did I did the 17th day offering, and it was the most beautiful experience that I've ever had in my life, but a very powerful one because that's when I got into my gifts. But having that energy now also for twin flames, like as I'm on this journey, there is a such thing as twins come into union. The dark doesn't want the twins to raise the vibration of the planet and come into light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there will be little shots taken at the union and triggers, and they'll come in the form of triggers. It's a real thing. It happens. Acknowledge it, understand it, but do not give it power. So that's my experience, and I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing with these negative spirits. They feed off of fear.
They totally do. If you do not have a strong mind,
Yep.
it can infiltrate. It absolutely can.
Yeah.
So why don't you close today's podcast with the experience you had with your dad?
Oh my gosh. So it was nighttime and my dad was just picking me up. We were just we were driving home on this road that was next to a cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we see this misty figure in front of the car. It just looked like it was running in front of the car, and my dad saw it too, and he actually hit the brakes. But as it was walking by, it disappeared. And he was like, "What was that?" And I was like, "I don't know, but it looked like it was like legs." And just like how I saw in the RV, as it was moving, it disappeared. What was that? I don't know. But I know we were driving next to a cemetery, and it was solid enough
But I think
my dad hit the brakes because
Right,
he thought
and-
he was going to hit something.
And I think that you guys did read somewhere that some young girl got into an accident there and died.
Oh.
You guys looked into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then my dad ended up like Googling it or something.
Yeah.
If it was haunted and it turned out a girl was like walking down the street there and she got hit by a car and she died.
Yeah,
So.
right there. It's almost like we're living in each other's worlds, and every now and then the paths cross, you know? Except for the ones that come forward when you kind of don't want them to.
Yeah. Well, I think there are definitely different kinds of spirits and entities on the other side.
For sure.
You'll get some spirits that maybe used to be human. You'll get demonic entities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are all kinds of things that we don't even have names for.
Right.
So you just have to be careful, you know.
You really do. And I think that the biggest message we want to share with you today is that for those of you who are listening, you're on a spiritual journey, you're on a spiritual path, and most likely you are empathic and you are sensitive. So as you have these experiences, just make sure that you're protecting yourselves, that you're being smart about your interactions,
Yeah.
and that you're also very knowledgeable about if you're on this twin flame journey, on the path to union of self and union with your sacred partner, that you will have challenges and triggers, and some of these are your own shadows, and then some of these can be external. So
Right.
Be very, very careful, be aware, be knowledgeable, don't be naive, but just be in your knowing and in your intuition, and use your own guidance about how you should be interacting or not interacting with that extra entity or energy, okay? We hope you guys have a wonderful Halloween, and Sudana and I will be back on Friday again with another episode of Step Into the Light with Queen of Light 1111 and
Sunana. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, everyone. It was super
fun
for us to talk about our own paranormal experiences.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.